Welcome to This Just In with This Just In as your host, Justin Core. This is a show where we take a deeper dive in the issues most important to you with the people who bring you those issues and stories. Our core respondent today, Lindsay Van Allen, social media rabble-rouser, in a good way, good trouble, and host of CityCast Boise. Lindsay, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time away from fighting with white supremacists on social media to chat with me.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's good to take a break from that every once in a while.
Fantastic. Well, if you got to hop on your phone in between segments to do that, I wouldn't blame you. People might be asking why I'm having the quote-unquote competition on the show, but we are not competitors,
No.
Lindsay. No. You're on a podcast. This is a streaming show, even though I have to correct literally everyone in the building who's like, how's the podcast going? Not a podcast. We're not on podcast streams at all. This is a streaming show on KTVB+. You found it. Good for you. Now, last time I was on your podcast, CityCast Boise. You should subscribe. It's awesome stuff. Local journalism, support it. We said right off the bat, we are not going to talk about feral cats. And then what did we talk about all the time?
Exclusively feral cats.
Exclusively feral cats.
Lots of feral cat jokes. I didn't know we had that many in us, but we seem to keep finding them.
If you're like, I need a feral cat podcast, I accidentally turned CityCast Boise into your premier, your number one news source for feral cat news in the Treasure Valley. So I'm sorry about that.
No, I think it added some levity to, when we're talking about construction and
Yes,
development,
growth,
that can be kind of
development,
dry, but if you add
change.
feral cats.
It'll jazz anything up. So what are we going to say that we're not going to talk about this episode of This Just In that we're then going to talk about at every turn?
I was thinking about this, and I think it's got to be huckleberries because...
Oh, no. I definitely don't want to talk about
Oh,
huckleberries.
no, okay, that's what you said about cats.
I know.
But I had a show where we were talking about what is the most overrated stuff in the Valley, and somebody said huckleberries, and I came in and I was like, I kind of like huckleberries. It turns out that makes me basic. It turns out a lot of people don't like huckleberries, and when you say they do, they let you know how much they don't like them. So
Okay.
whoever did PR for cranberries needs to get on huckleberries real fast because they need some help.
Thank you. Don't look up how cranberries are grown and harvested. It's wild. It's a bog full of spiders and cranberries. But maybe that's the problem, the fact that I know that.
Yeah.
I love cranberries. Huckleberries, absolutely overrated. Let's fight about this right now. Yes.
No.
I know they're local. I know you find them in the hills. A lot of stuff you find in the hills you shouldn't be eating. Defend huckleberries, though, Lindsay.
They are like the quintessential mountain berry. You get to go pick them. You put them in the bucket. You bring them home. You can
That sounds like most berry picking.
I know, but
continue.
it's so Idaho. And then you can put them in everything. You can put them in ice cream, pancakes, syrup, chocolate. Like it's just everything. I've never had cranberries where I'm like, it's just okay. It just elevates everything. I love a cranberry, and that might really make me basic, but I do love them.
Wait, you said you love a cranberry. Do you love a cranberry or a huckleberry?
Oh, a huckleberry.
Okay.
I don't love a cranberry, not even a little bit.
Girl, it has a tartness that is unmatched by any other berry.
It makes my mouth dry and makes me regret tasting.
That's I guess I just have a more evolved berry palate.
I'm a basic girl. I like huckleberries.
Girl, I'm basic as heck. I don't know. I'm not as young as you or most of the people in the newsroom, so I assume I'm basic. Okay, so we're going to talk more about your award-winning podcast, not streaming show, CityCast Boise in a second, but first, let's talk about you. Where'd you grow up, Lindsay?
I grew up in Rigby, Idaho.
I've heard of it.
Yes, it's birthplace of television and also where I graduated from high school.
And you. Fantastic. What was it like growing up there?
Really rural,
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Our high school looked like a potato cellar. Not much to do.
Did it really?
It really does. They have a new one now, but it was just like a really long potato cellar.
Yeah. I mean, I went
So.
to, ended at Eagle, also started at Centennial. Those high schools, no offense, both look like prisons or like,
Yeah,
minimum security prisons.
Not a lot
though.
of windows. Not a lot of
windows.
It was really, the taxpayers didn't want to pay much, so they're like, just throw them in that building.
Keep down on those heating, cooling costs.
Yeah, cinder blocks, no windows.
I guess. So growing up where you did and how you did you expect you'd be creating content that now maybe a lot of far-right people wouldn't enjoy.
No. Rigby Lindsay would hate me. I was far right. I was raised far right. I was raised LDS or Mormon. And like I filed the paperwork to open the first Young Republicans at Rigby High School.
Wow.
I was that girl. And so very political, very arguing. You know, I remember I had a huge debate with one of my classmates about why I thought George Bush was a fantastic president.
WHW?
Not everything, no, George W., the junior.
The second, yeah.
Not everything aged well. It's okay. In high school, you think you know a lot more than you do. So, no, Rigby Lindsay and I are very different people. Who even is she? I don't even know anymore. So,
And just going on record, I'm absolutely a moderate. I don't lean one way or the other. But what took you from Rigby then to Boise?
While I was growing up, my uncle actually lived in Boise,
cool.
and some of my favorite trips growing up were to come visit him. And he worked for Albertsons. He was their candy man. We called him the candy man. He would order all of their candy for holidays. So when we come to his house, we get lots of candy. We get to walk around the Greenbelt, hang out. It was like the best vacations ever. And so I was like, when I grow up, I want to live in Boise. So. And
then when you moved here, it's like, why isn't everyone handing me candy?
I know, there was less candy now as an adult. Like, he doesn't live here anymore, so there's no candy man.
Oh, man, he left. What was it, because you moved here?
Yeah, he was like, there can't be both of us. There's not room for both of us.
So you moved here, and then you were a nurse, a NICU nurse, right?
Yeah, I would say my husband got a job at St. Luke's, and then I graduated nursing school at BSU. So
Go Broncos.
Great program. And I also got a job at St. Luke's in the NICU during the pandemic. So that was kind of rough. I used to be like, no, it's fine. It was
not fine.
It was not fine.
That's what you tell yourself, absolutely, to try to get through. I'm glad you got through. So, I mean, well, let's start with just being a NICU nurse. That had to be incredibly emotionally draining.
Yes, it was. I will always say the best patients in the entire world, always had the best patients. And ultimately, I feel like it was incredibly rewarding. But yes, watching that whole process, it's not a linear process where they're born and then they just get better. Lots of ups and downs, lots of heartache. So it was really tricky, but still, best families, best patients that you could ask for.
Gosh. And then a nurse during the pandemic, where all of a sudden you're sort of the target of a lot of people's ire, that maybe they have problems with local, state, federal government, and it's like, no, this NICU nurse is somehow to blame for all this. What was that like?
I think that's when I kind of realized maybe people aren't looking for facts, or they aren't really interested in having a logical conversation about things. They would come with lots of preconceived notions, and we'd like try to talk to them. Here's pros, cons of different things, and I realized a lot of people weren't necessarily interested in that, and that actually was part of what led to me starting to make TikToks. Is people would come in, and after a couple weeks in the NICU, be like, "Oh, this wasn't what I thought," or "Healthcare wasn't what I thought," or "I can see it's different." And I thought, what if I could take that and even just in little segments, like, okay, here's how we're seeing it in the hospital. Here's how nurses are seeing it. Here's how healthcare workers are seeing it. Here's what we're concerned about. Maybe that would help people understand what was going on a little bit better, or see a different perspective.
Well, and isn't it interesting that people are going to, as you saw, you understood that people are going to be looking to social media to get that information instead of more traditional news sources like, hey, Wake Up Idaho, where I anchor with Maggie O'Meara, even though we get plenty of viewers. But local news, CityCast, certainly KTVB, we're always working against that, because misinformation moves so much more quickly and is so much more easily digested for people than actual information, because facts, truth, that's all complicated, and it maybe challenges your worldview. But opinions that you agree with, that hits right in the sweet spot, right?
Yes. Well, and if you can get there first, if you can make the first impression, that makes a huge difference, because whatever people consume first, what I've realized is whatever they consume first, they kind of build their whole perspective off of that. So if you can get to a story first, if you can be the first thing they see about it the first time they're hearing about it, then they have information to either counter misinformation, or they can say, okay, I'm hearing conflicting things. Maybe I should look into this more. Because once they've already heard misinformation, once they've already gotten something that has made them feel some kind of way emotionally, you're going to have to do 100 times more work to even just try to claw back, like, let's have a conversation about it.
Right, yeah. I can imagine trying to have those conversations in the hospital were really hard, because there are a lot of people there who just want the best for them and their kid and their family, and they've gone through years and years of school, and they have years and years of experience, and they're like, nah, I saw this thing on Facebook that says something else totally.
Oh, and there was so much mistrust of healthcare workers, where there was a lot of, you're getting checks from Soros, or which I wish, because like you don't make that much as a nurse, honestly.
He's got money to burn. Yeah,
I know. I was like, I'm still waiting on it. It's been how many years? Nothing, not a single dime.
I got George in my phone. Let me text
him. I know.
If
you let him know, I'm waiting. But you come in, it's just like any job. You come in and you want to do a good job.
Yeah.
This is somebody's, when I was taking care of patients, this is somebody's whole world. It's their baby.
Yeah.
And so I want to give them the care and attention that they deserve, just like I would want for my child. But they come in with this mistrust, what are you trying to take over? Are you trying to force something on my family? Are you trying to, and so you have to really, it added another layer of having to try to build these relationships of like, I'm not trying to do anything you don't want. I'm trying to, here's why we do this procedure. You can say no. Here's, you're trying to just, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you so that you can take your baby home. That's, I've done a good job if you take your baby home. But getting through that mistrust was so tricky, especially when feelings are really high because this is their baby.
Yeah, and certainly I understand that. I think we both do. And, part of my job as a journalist, all journalists' job is to question literally everything. So I guess I wouldn't have a problem with someone else also questioning everything. But it seems like sometimes, and I imagine maybe it went beyond that, from questioning to assuming that it's like, well, I already know why you're doing this. It's to implant a chip in my baby or something like that.
Yes, yeah. There would have to be times where I would just say, okay, sign this form, we won't do that. Because to a certain point, I can only say so many ways or so many times, like, this is why I'd like to do it, here are benefits, here are risks if we don't do it.
Right.
And ultimately the parent gets to choose, and
it's their call.
It's the hardest thing to then have to be worried about it, but like, I have to let it go. It's not, but that was always hard, where it was like, please ask questions, and a good nurse should be able to explain why we're doing it. A doctor should be able to explain, but truly everything we're doing is, I want to see your baby grow up in the best way, have the best health outcome. Like, that's what I do. I go to my job. I was going to my job as a nurse every day. Like, I want these babies to have the best outcome, these families to have the best outcome. And so to be met with, you're trying to hurt my baby, you're trying to implant a chip or give them COVID or keep me from my child, that was definitely really tricky.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your passions, like being a nurse, you sort of transitioned to a different passion. We're going to talk more about that. From healthcare to TikTok. We'll have that with Lindsay Van Allen of CityCast Boise next on This Just In. Welcome back to This Just In with Lindsay Van Allen of CityCast Boise. When last we left LVA's story, you were working in healthcare, then transformed from a NICU nurse into a NICU nurse who is also, as your executive producer now called you, the political TikTok queen of Idaho. What were some of your most memorable posts there on TikTok?
Oh, so many good ones. Probably Scott Yenner. I
remember Scooter. Is he still around? No, he got chased out by a bunch of high school students.
I know,
Tough.
I know. Every Scott Yenner post, I saw that on Reddit, and I kind of broke it on TikTok, and then suddenly it was everywhere, and that was maybe my first super viral moment. And then, he's written a lot of books. He likes to go speak places. He goes to local high schools, so he always provides plenty of content for me. So Scott Yenner, I don't love that he's here, but
Thanks.
I love that I can
guess.
joke about him. So
You provided a lot of content for Lindsay. Now, like most Americans, you host a podcast. But unlike most Americans, your podcast is actually good. How did you become host of CityCast Boise?
I applied. I had a friend who said, they're looking for a host. You should apply. I was working as a nurse, and the job listing said a comedian or a journalist. And I said to my friend, I'm neither of those. So I feel like maybe they're probably not going to pick me. And she was like, just apply. Just just try. So I did. I actually applied on my lunch break. And
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I'll give it a shot. And so I applied, and I didn't expect to hear back, and I didn't hear back for a long time. So I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'll just keep nursing. It's fine. It's, it's a good career. And then I got a call, and I was actually at work, and I was like, just a minute. And I ran out into the elevator.
Busy saving lives, no big deal.
Ran out to the elevator and was like, I will meet with you.
That's
and
awesome.
So we had, a bunch of rounds of interviews, and they offered me a job. I was as surprised as anybody else. So that was, just a twist, but a very exciting and unexpected one.
Yeah, but you already had that big presence on social media, which is now sort of the media, especially for a certain age group. And now CityCast Boise, I think very much looking at that same market. What, for people who don't know, what is CityCast Boise?
So we are a daily podcast, Monday through Friday, that our whole entire goal is to help connect you to the city you love and you live in. So we want you to know everything about the city, from what's happening at the mayor's office, what's happening at the legislature, where you can find the best brunch, where you can go to make sure that you're having great recreational time, hiking, just everything about the city that we love. We want our listeners to be in the know, because something I hear all the time in Boise is, I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I didn't hear about this. I'm so sad I missed it. And so we want to make sure nobody is experiencing that. You know what's happening. You know where to find it. You know how to have the best experience in Boise.
In your time hosting CityCast Boise, what have you learned about the community?
I think I learned from doing TikTok. I thought I had kind of a handle on the city, and I've learned how much I don't know. There are so many food spots I didn't know about. There are so many people doing incredible things, so many nonprofits, so many people working so incredibly hard and volunteering incredibly hard to make this city so incredible. And so what I've learned is, I've been doing this for 18 months now, and I still am learning something new every week. So Boise is growing, Boise is evolving, and I feel lucky enough to be able to learn about it and then share it with listeners and followers. So
what have you learned about yourself? Well, this sounds very Barbara Walters. That's a reference that ages me, dates me. Sorry about that. What have you learned about yourself?
I think I've learned how to be a curious person.
Nice. And
I think on social media, people want you to be very matter of fact. They want you to tell them, this is what's happening, this is how we're doing things. And on the podcast, I've gotten to kind of shift into a different mode where I'm having somebody tell me about how something works, and I get to ask about it. I get to be curious. I get to, dig into what they're doing. And I love that. I feel like there's not enough curiosity in our world. Everybody has to be so certain, so sure. You have to take an opinion very quickly. You have to be certain about that and then defend it to the death, even if you're provided more information or new information. And so I really love the opportunity to be curious and to create a space for curiosity for listeners and people in Boise.
I cannot stop nodding enough, because absolutely, I think that's probably how misinformation spreads so quickly as well. Right? You have people on social media, TikTok, wherever, who are so sure, so matter of fact about something, and it appeals already to your worldview, makes you feel heard and right, and you're like, man, awesome. I no longer need to hear anything else.
Exactly.
Because I'm already right. So,
and your algorithm wants you to feel that way. So it's going to feed you exactly how you already feel. And that's what I love about the podcast is it's not an algorithm. I'm not, it's just me. And so it's just what.
And you're not AI?
I am not. We can, not yet. Maybe in the future. I hope to be bionic
Girl,
one day.
same. Yeah.
But
I'll just count the time at this point.
Not such great joints, so I'm hoping for it. But whatever listeners like write in about and are like, hey, I want to know more about this, or can you talk about this, or my sister was volunteering here and they're doing a great job. So nice. It's just the things that I'm curious about, the things that my team is curious about, and then we get to share it with listeners. So
how can people listen?
You can tune in anywhere you listen to podcasts, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We also have a website, boise.citycast.fm, so if that's easiest for you, we have newsletter there, information, links to the podcast, so we try to keep it really, really simple for you. If you look up Boise CityCast or CityCast Boise, you should be able to find us.
Fantastic. Nailed that website.
Thank you.
Without having to look it up.
When I was on your morning show, I messed it up the first time. So this time I was like, I've got to be sure.
Sorry, Frankie. She nailed it this time.
I got it this time. I did it. Second time's a charm.
We'll be back with more from Lindsay Van Allen as she guarantees she can help you and me go viral. Next on This Just In on KTVB+. We're back with CityCast Boise host Lindsay Van Allen, also a TikTok star. LVA, you've gone viral on TikTok a lot, sometimes for great videos, sometimes for good videos, sometimes with videos that make people insane. How can I go viral?
Okay, it is all about, it's a three-part like method. Okay. Really simple. First thing is your hook. You are fighting social media, so everybody's trying to get people's attention. You've got just a second. They're scrolling. You've got just a minute. You need to say something unexpected. So either something startling or, hey, you haven't seen this, or I can't believe I saw this. Something where people are gonna be like, wait, what? And they're gonna stop, because once you have them, then you're going to tell a story. So whatever you're doing, whether you want to talk about gardening, politics, something that happened over the weekend, something crazy you saw downtown, make it a story.
Okay.
People love a story.
So number one, hook.
Yes.
Number two, tell a story.
Tell a story.
People do love stories.
And talk like you're talking to a friend. So a lot of people, as soon as that camera's on, now they're all proper, now they're all, I have to tell you this. This is real. Talk like you're talking to your friend. Be like, and that's going to look different for everyone. For me, it turns into, what the happened? Can you believe this? Like you're gossiping with your friend. Like, can you believe this? What are they thinking? I'm not okay with this. You're not okay with this. We're not okay with this. That's tell a story like you're talking to your friend, and that's going to look different for everyone. But that's the beauty of social media, is if we all made the same videos, that would be super boring. And then you're going to end with something that makes them feel something. So either the craziest fact, or something that just, whatever moved you. People are a lot alike. So what made you feel something about the story you're telling? You're going to say that, because that's going to make them share it with their friends. And you need them to share it. Sharing it is the key to going viral. So end on something where they're like, I got to send that to my uncle. I got to send that to my cousin. I got to send that to my friend, because I'm going to tell them about it. We're going to talk about it later. So hook, story told like how you tell stories, and then something that makes them feel something, and then they're going to share it and you'll go viral.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. So hook, tell a story, be conversational, and also make them feel something. Okay. Hook, I am a lizard person. I was born in an egg in the desert of Idaho. There's your story, and I'm going to make you feel something now. I'm just kidding. That's not true, but I only told you that because I care about you.
Because you need to know about this important fact, and now I'm dropping it.
I don't know if that's going to actually work. I'll probably just keep following you on social media.
You can. I believe in you. You work on it. Keep working on it.
I'll keep working on it, yeah. You know what? I'm just going to keep reposting Maggie's stuff. That'll probably work best.
Perfect.
Just follow Maggie and Lindsay. You'll be great. Speaking of which, one last opportunity for plugs. Lindsay Van Allen, where can people listen to CityCast? Where can people see you on social media, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so we're Apple, Spotify, anywhere you're listening to podcasts, boise.citycast.fm. I'm the Social Lindsay on Instagram, or Socialistly Awkward on TikTok, and you can find all my stuff there.
Fantastic. Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. And also, thank you so much for saying maybe a word I'll have to look up to see if we can say here on this show. You're wondering, like, which word was that? I'll tell you afterwards. I don't have to say it again. Don't have to bleep two things. I don't like to edit this show. If you have comments, questions for Lindsay, me, maybe Maggie, I don't know, text them to 208-321-5614. Use the hashtag JustIN. Sorry about people continually texting my phone. I thought I was a professional. I'm not. Lindsay is. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time on KTVB Plus.